It's coming soon. April, to be exact. Endgame. Part of me's not ready for that, but I'll get over it. And I thought, heck, it's ending. Except it's not really ending, but it's sort of ending. Yeah, the MCU is sort of ending. Making way for a new generation. We're going to be getting Spider-Man, Black Panther, all the new generation heroes, Captain Marvel. Marvel said that she's going to be the front deer, leading the charge in the new phases. So let's hope Captain Marvel's a good movie. But you know what? Since the end is coming, the end game, why not review every single MCU movie? Now, I made that promise before Infinity War, but I stopped not even halfway. I posted an Incredible Hulk review. I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to wait for Avengers 4, because that's a better build-up thing. Because then pretty much all of them will be out by Avengers 4. I've seen all of them. It's better that way. It just makes more sense. Because we still had Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, and then Avengers 4 after Infinity War, so it didn't. So I don't really know why people are doing that build-up series, because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. It'd make more sense to go on to Endgame when all the movies are there. It just made more sense to me. So that's what I'm doing with 2008's Iron Man. Now, this was a movie that was doomed to be a failure. No one thought it would work. Marvel was a bankrupt company with a fresh out of prison actor, Robert Downey Jr., who's gotten so much better now. No one thought this would be a success. Spoiler alert, it was a success. Now, I've always enjoyed movies. I've always enjoyed the plots. Of course, there are movies I hate. You can just look at a bunch of stuff on my channel. I express hatred and a bunch of things. But now I fully understand blockbuster plots with writing blockbuster plots. Not sponsored. But if you're interested in film, if you want to be a screenwriter, a director, anything to do with film, or you just want to know what makes a good blockbuster plot, this book is great. It's not a long book. It's got like 200 pages or so. I know you're thinking, ooh, it's so much long, but it goes into detail about writing the plot and stuff, and all the stuff. It goes through all the phases, the introduction, the climax, all of it. And it talks about characters and stuff, and it's really good. And after just reading it recently, I kinda like Iron Man more. Now that I know what makes a good blockbuster plot. Because Iron Man is a good blockbuster plot. It starts off with the main character, and they're pretty much just... If you want to write a good blockbuster plot, you get a character that has everything. Like, a lot of times, underdog stories are good. I mean, it talks about underdog stories and how those are really good, too. I like underdog stories. That's why I like Spider-Man so much. Because it's an underdog story. But for this version, you take a guy who has everything, and you take it away from him. You don't take away all his richness. You just take away his psyche, everything he's built up in his mind. He thinks he's the greatest person ever. Or he thinks he can do no wrong. Boom. Afghanistan, the whole 10 rings thing, he realizes that he's made mistakes. You take everything he's built himself on, soup it out underneath him. He's got to rebuild himself to be a better person. And that's what makes Iron Man such a good blockbuster plot. It introduces the character conflicts, the main conflict of the movie. The villain has a good enough motivation. I mean, he just wants profit. I kind of miss the good old days where the villains didn't have a reason. They just did stuff because they're bad. Don't get me wrong. I love when our villains have something that we can go off of. Killmonger, Thanos. I like them because they have reasons to go along with their plan. There's a reason they're doing what they're doing. But I miss the days when you could just have a villain who just wanted to be evil or revenge or money. And that's what he wants. So I like I like Obadiah Stane. I wish Jeff Bridges had a bigger role in the movie so we could fully experience Ironmonger, but he doesn't, and that's unfortunate, but there's nothing we can do about that. Robert Downey Jr., there's nothing else we can say about it. He was born to play Iron Man. His career is a metaphor. Tony Stark's entire arc in these movies is a metaphor for his career. He was born to play this character. He looks so much like him, even in the early versions of the comics. I'm not saying in the new versions, because they obviously styled after Downey. But even when Iron Man was first being Iron Man, he looks like him. Terrence Howard, I liked as Rhodey. I do like Don Cheadle more. But Terrence Howard is good. I like Terrence Howard as Rhodey. The action is solid. The special effects is great. The climax, this is something the MCU had a problem with in the first phase. And part of the second phase. They built these heroes up to face against a big, gray, bad version of themselves. And it's not entertaining to watch. I mean, you got some cool moments, like when Stane grabs a motorcycle and swings at Tony. When Pepper turns on the arc reactor to kill Obadiah. You get some great moments like that, but otherwise it's just a bland fight in a sea of bland fights. MCU, again, gets better at this later, but at first, it's not that great. The conclusion, Iron Man, he's still got that cocky arrogance that he had at the beginning, because you don't want to, like this is, you don't want to change everything about the character, because then they lose themselves. The character's gonna stay the same. He's gonna have that cocky arrogance. Tony Stark always has the cocky arrogance. That's why he says, I am Iron Man at the end. And it's great. And then the setup at the end. Samuel L. Jackson, again, great as Nick Fury. Love him as Nick Fury. Of course, he only gets a bit role in this, but, it sets up 22 movies, so more after Endgame, so that's impressive. That they weren't even sure this was going to be a success. They just tacked that on in the hopes of maybe. And now we get 11 years, 22 movies. That's impressive. It's so impressive. Iron Man is a great movie. It's a fantastic start to the MCU. And I would recommend watching it if you have not watched it. What are you doing if you have not watched Iron Man? It's a great movie. Watch it. And also, read this if you're at all interested in film or want to understand blockbuster plots and what makes them so good. Read Writing Blockbuster Plots by Martha Alderson. Martha Alderson goes into, as you can tell, depth about writing a plot, and it's really good and entertaining. So, yeah. I mean, look at all the details it just goes on in the back here. It's so good. If any aspiring filmmaker should read Writing Blockbuster Plots, it's good. I'm gonna give Iron Man a 91 out of 91 arc reactors out of 100. Like I said, it's a great movie. There's definitely problems with it. Like I said, the final battle, Obadiah doesn't get enough of a role. The 10 Rings don't get enough of a role, especially their implications in the comics. Terrence Howard is good as Rhodey. Some characters just, I don't know, like the reporter. I just didn't even like her acting that much. It's not that I just didn't like the character. I didn't like her acting. But pretty much those are the only problems I have with it. So I'll be reviewing all the MCU movies, I promise, before Endgame comes out. And then I'll review Endgame. Like I said, I'm not ready for this. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you have not. I'm Jordan Reviews, signing off.